Hello everyone, I am back with my new video on timber perception, object perception and object identification. I hope you all are doing good in this pandemic and are safe at your homes. Be safe guys, because the situation is not very much good nowadays. So started with the topic of timber perception. So what timbre actually is? It is typically defined as the perceptual attribute of sound that enables one to experience differences between sounds having the same pitch, loudness and duration. This definition was given by NC in 2004. NC is American National Standard Institute that gives this definition of timbre and revised this definition given by Plomp in 1970. NC actually revise this definition of timbre, what was given by Plomp in 1970. So, what timbre is? So, timbre helps you to identify the two sounds or take a difference between the two sounds having the same pitch, loudness, and duration, but still they are different. Still, you are perceiving them. So, that perceptual attribute or that quality of the sound is known as the timbre. I hope you now have a concept of what timbre is actually. So, coming to the next part of it. Factors affecting timbre perception. So, what are the factors that affects the timbre? So, there are generally two factors that affect the timbre perception. First is the spectral characteristics, and second is the temporal characteristics. Spectral characteristics are here we come to know about the spectral features, the band of fundamental frequencies that constitute as a spectral envelope of the sound, how they help us to get what is the timbre of the sound. Okay, what are the amplitude characteristics of the sound? Second feature is the temporal characteristics. Temporal is a thing that is used for the time, with reference to the time. Okay, so how the spectral envelope changes with respect to the time, how the amplitude envelope changes with respect to the time, that is known as the temporal characteristics. And in the later slides, we can get an overview about what are the spectral characteristics, what are the temporal characteristics in a more detail. Now, what are the spectral characteristics or spectral features of a sound? So, here, as I already told you guys, that the shape of its spectral envelope comes here, the band of frequencies that the sound constitutes, where it lies, that is called its centroid or center of gravity, and whether the spectral envelope is smooth or irregular, and whether any aperiodicity is there, like noise like component is present there. So these all are the things that help us to spectrally see what the sound is, what are the features, spectral features of a sound is, how. So these also constitutes and a parameter to find out the timbre of a sound. Now coming to the next feature, that is known as the temporal features. So temporal features constitute with respect to time, as I already told you. So here comes the amplitude envelope of the waveform, or how the amplitude changes over time. Okay, and changes in the spectral envelope over the time, how the envelope will be changes with respect to time. It is also very important thing. And here comes the attack phase and the release phase. Attack phase and the decay phase. So attack is known as the onset. When the sound begins, that phase is known as the attack phase, and how it dies off, that is called the offset or the decay phase. So this is very much important characteristics to uh, see and constitute and contrast and differentiate two sounds apart. Okay. Now, perception of timbre and object identification. So here the Jenkins 1984 points out that the word is event-like. Sound is produced by action and movement. Our ability to identify object is based on the information provided by their acoustic properties, and these acoustic properties are the results of the production process. So here Jenkins talk about how you perceive, how you identify what is the object is. So as what we previously learned is applied here also. Okay, like the sound production. Here comes the vibration pattern of your vocal folds, how it distinguishes, how you are able to find according to the role that is played by your articulators. The two different sounds will be produced by the same vocal fold vibrations at different places. So all those things will be considered here. The second thing is the acoustic structure of the sound. Acoustic structures constitutes the harmonics, constitutes the onset and attack phase. All those things comes under the acoustic structure. What is the acoustic properties of that sound? Perceptual consequences are also very much important as it constitutes the perceptual characteristics, like how you perceive perceptually. Perceptual characteristics, I think, is the most important characteristics to identify the timber or perceiving any object, perceiving or identifying any object, right? Like listeners are very much, I can say they the best to distinguishing two sounds perceptually, whether seeing or not seeing its acoustic characteristics. We can perceptually listen to any sound, any two sounds, and we can easily differentiate or identify what the kind of object the sound is, right? So yes, all these things is very much important. First one is the sound production. So as I already told you that here we comes to learn about the vibration modes. So here the vibration modes of the source filter model. We all know that sources at the level of the vocal folds where the vibrations are produced, and the filter are the vocal tract. Okay, how the sound is characterized, so how it is produced in a different way. So with the help of different articulators, so our vocal tract acts as a filter. Okay, so each vibration mode can be characterized by its resonant frequency and by its damping or quality factor. The resonant frequency of each mode in the frequency at which the amplitude of vibration is maximum. You all know about it, that what is the resonant frequency? Resonant frequency is the frequency where the amplitude is maximum. Okay, so that frequency is known as the resonant frequency, or frequency of vibration. We can also say that fundamental frequency. We can also say that. So the damping or inversely proportional to the quality factor of each vibration mode is a measure of its sharpness of tuning or its temporal response, and this quality factor actually help us to identify the timbre of the sound. So this is the basis of the sound production, how it helps us to identify the timbre of sound, or how it helps us to identify the object. Now coming to the second one, that is the coupling between the source and filter. The coupling is very much important. So here is to explain about some of the complex acoustic properties between the model that may underlie timbre and the ability to identify objects as are follows. For some sources, vibrating string, there are discrete modes. For other kinds of sources, the vibration modes are continuous. Example, the turbulent air rushing through and past the vocal folds when whispering is assumed to excite the filter, that is the vocal tract, with a continuous range of frequencies. Third is changing the sound. So it is also very much important. Like imagine the first note of a wind instrument. If you apply the or blowing the pressure, it includes the harmonics in a regular manner, in a non-linear manner. Okay, like if the amplitude of the fundamental frequency increases threefold, then the amplitude of the second and the third would increase by 9 and 27 folds respectively. Next comes the acoustic structures. So here we already discussed about the what are the spectral transients and noise cues that are important to the listeners, and that are used by the listeners to identify events. And for the sequence of the sounds, the transition and rhythm cues help us to identify the events. So what are the transition between the sound? Transition, as the name already suggests, when we are going from one sound to the next sound. So that overlap is there. Okay, so that is known as transition. The overlap may hinder the identification by masking the transient cues, or it may improve the identification pattern by producing or by producing a unique pattern not heard in discrete sounds. So in speech, mechanical constraints on the speed of the articulators force speakers to overlap the articulation for successive sounds, although it is not clear how co-articulation may be used to identify speakers. It may be significant. Timing and rhythm. Time provides a framework for auditory events where the onset and offsets of sounds define those events. One temporal quality is whether the sound is roughly continuous, example duck noise, oscillates in intensity, example hand sawing, or is a series of discrete units, example hammering, clapping, and walking. So another temporal quality is the rhythm or timing between the discrete sounds. Some physical systems are defined by the damped rhythms that over and over damp, and in which the successive sounds are progressively closer together in time, like bouncing balls. Now coming to the perceptual consequences. The perceptual consequences of the multiplicity of cues created by the sound production process are varied. No predominant cue uniquely determines identification and timbre. The interactive nature of the sound production makes the acoustic cues correlated to some degree across a broad time span. Listeners should make use of whatever cues leads to the best performance for a specific set of events. We already discussed this thing previously. I here come up with a summary of it, like what are the factors that are affecting the timbre perception. We already discussed about it, that spectral characteristics or the temporal characteristics. Here it comes into like this harmonic content that constitutes your fundamental frequency or the amplitude characteristics. What are the harmonics, and according to the attack and decay, that with respect to time when the sound begins, so that is known as the attack phase. When the sound dies off, that is known as the decay phase. So the sounds will have different onset and offset phase or attack and decay phase. And the vibrato and tremolo. Vibrato and tremolo are known as the vibrato is known as the fundamental frequency modulation or frequency modulation, and tremolo is known as the amplitude modulation. So here comes the harmonic content that determines the waveform of the sound signal when displayed as a function of time. And the amplitude of the individual harmonics can be determined by Fourier analysis and displayed as a unique function of frequency. The recognition of different vowel sounds of the human voice is largely accomplished by analysis of the harmonic content by the inner ear. Their distinctly different quality is attributed to the vocal formants frequency ranges where the harmonics are enhanced. So this way we can see what is the harmonic content, and we can distinguish different vowel sounds on the basis of it, right? Second comes the attack and the decay phase. So we already discussed about it. It refers to the onset and offset duration of a signal. This difference has an effect on the timbre of the signal. The ear is sensitive to attack and decay rates and use them to identify the instrument producing the sounds. Like, for example, plucked guitar string gives a sudden attack, rapid rise in peak amplitude, and the decay is long and gradual comparison. So here you can see an image of a plucked guitar, what is the attack phase, how it is very much rapid, and the decay is very much long or gradual. Whereas striking a cymbal with a stick, the attack is almost instantaneous, but the decay envelope is very long. Even though the time period between the attack and decay is same, and the time period is about half a second. Individual periods can be resolved better in guitar compared to cymbal because the frequency of the former one is much lower. So here you can see both of the pictures constitutes and give you a different wave pattern. Okay, different wave pattern of the sound. You can see here the different attack phase and different decay phase. Here the decay phase is very much long and attack is almost instantaneous. So these attack phases and decay phases help us to identify or perceive the sound and perceive us to identify the object. Third comes here the vibrato and tremolo. vibrato and tremolo is usually seen in the singers, with respect to singers. So the ordinary definition of vibrato is periodic changes in the pitch of the tone, and the term tremolo is used to indicate periodic changes in the amplitude or loudness of the tone. So vibrato could be called the frequency modulation, and tremolo could be called the amplitude modulation of the tone. Actually, in the voice or the sound of a musical instrument, both are usually present to some extent. An amplitude plot of a sustained E vowel sound used by a female voice. The periodic amplitude changes could be described as a tremolo by the ordinary definition of it. You can also hear pitch variation along with it. So vibrato was present as well. Both came together present also. So here we get to the conclusion that if we're talking about the frequency modulation, it terms at the vibrato. We're talking about the amplitude modulation of the tone, it terms at the tremolo of the sound. Both can also present together. Here you can see a picture of the E vowel. So here you can see the amplitude variation or amplitude modulation changes, right, of the E vowel produced by a female voice. So here vibrato will be also here, because as you see the inflections or variations in the pitch also. The diaphragm vibrato of a flute player is close to the pure tremolo. The vibrato obtained when a trombone player wiggles a slide in and out is almost a pure pitch vibrato. Singing vibrato is actually a mixture of true vibrato and tremolo. Vibrato on a violin or other string instrument is close to pure pitch vibrato. So these are the vibrato and tremolo we discussed here according to the instruments, especially the wind instruments, how they produce. Here we come to the end of this presentation. I hope you all have now a concept of what timbre is, how you can actually perceive timbre, identify objects, what are the factors affecting timbre perception. So here we come to the end of this video. I hope you all like this presentation and have developed a concept about timbre, object perception and object identification. So if you like this video, please press the like button and subscribe my channel for further videos, as this will encourage me to do or make more videos for you guys. Till then, thank you and be safe and be careful. Bye.